Part 60. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 592. After the wedding, Li Zhe took Zhou to Southeast Asia for more than 10 days, which was considered a honeymoon. Many scenic spots such as Bangkok and Phuket in Thailand, Kuala Lumpur and Redang Island in Malaysia, Bali and Lake Toba in Indonesia have left their romantic scenes. The last stop was Singapore. Singapore, also known as the Lion City, consists of Singapore Island and 63 nearby small islands. It has a land area of 728.6 square kilometers and a population of 5.18 million, of which 74% are Chinese, and Chinese is one of the official languages. There is not much difference between being in Singapore and back home. We have the same Chinese faces, the streets and alleys are full of Chinese elements, and even the Chinese characters are in simplified Chinese. When you come here, it feels like you have never been abroad. At night, Li Zhe and Zhou walked together on the streets of Chinatown. The night market here was very lively and brightly lit, a bit like a domestic temple fair. You can see various antique crafts made by craftsmen, such as calligraphy, sculpture, puppets, Buddha statues, and incense candle making. There is also an open-air food street where you can taste a variety of authentic local snacks, such as fried rice noodles, carrot cakes, fried bananas, etc. Li Zhe bought 2 portions of otaku from a stall and gave one to Zhou. Otak is a snack made of fish. The fish is mashed and mixed with various spices, then wrapped in pandan leaves and grilled. Fish snacks are low in calories and are very suitable for girls like Zhou who pay attention to their figure. Xiao, what do you think of this place? It's very good, very lively, and the cultural atmosphere is also. Zhou was halfway through speaking, and suddenly realized what he meant. Husband, what do you think of this country? Li Zhe nodded. Although Po County is a small country, it has a stable society, a sound legal system, a prosperous economy, and complete facilities. More importantly, it has the same culture and species as us. He paused and said, European and American countries cannot be trusted easily. Whether now or in future generations, many stars, celebrities, and rich people immigrate to Western developed countries. But Li Zhe is not very optimistic about this. It is true that Westerners talk about the spirit of contract, but the premise is that the rules are made by them and are beneficial to them. Once the rules harm their interests, they will immediately cheat on them. There is a saying that those who are not from my race will have different hearts. Nowadays, society is diversified, and people of various nationalities and colors are mixed together, seemingly blurring the boundaries between them. The United States is even more famous for its openness and diversity. But the fact is that there are many Chinese and Chinese Americans in the United States, many of whom are even middle class, but there are very few Chinese American executives. On the contrary, Indians who were born as slaves are very popular. This is the invisible ceiling. Don't think that foreign countries are uncivilized. It's probably because you are not one of our own and they don't want to take you to play. Is it true that a place that requires letters of recommendation when going to school is really unreasonable? Therefore, once the rich people in China immigrate, they will completely lose their foundation and it will be difficult for them to make a difference. This is why many stars and celebrities stay in China to make money after immigrating, because it is not easy to make money from foreigners. Of course, it doesn't matter if ordinary people go to work abroad. You just serve as cheap labor force for others. Don't always calculate the exchange rate. In the eyes of foreign capital, if you pay a few $1,000s a month, you will be considered a low-level cheap labor force. No matter what others do, Li Zhe will never immigrate. Seeing Zhou thinking silently, Li Zhe added, the other option is to go to Hong Kong Island. Maybe in a few years I will go to Hong Kong Island for development. Hong Kong Island, Zhou was obviously surprised after hearing this. Because Li Zhe said that the next 10 years will be the fastest growing decade in the mainland. Why? Li Jie smiled, but did not answer her directly. Instead, he said, Xiao, have you ever heard of a saying that says that when time comes, heaven and earth all work together, and heroes are not free when they come? Every successful person is a product of the times. From the 1980s and 1990s to the early 2000s, a large number of industrial tycoons emerged in China due to the influence of the times. In the early days of domestic internet companies, industrial entrepreneurs looked down upon them. In 2000, Jack Ma distributed flyers on the streets of Hangzhou to promote Ali, and people said he was a liar. In a similar year, Pony Ma gave an investment speech on an investment program, but was unceremoniously rejected by the president of Haier, saying that it was a dream and unrealistic. But in less than 10 years, the net worth of the new internet riches surpassed that of their industrial predecessors. But the internet is unlikely to last forever. When Li Jie was reborn, the internet's cold winter had already arrived. Major internet companies were laying off employees one after another, and their stock prices plummeted. As for how to get through this cold winter period, he was just a middle-aged man and couldn't think of a solution. Instead of watching the company's market value shrink significantly and the mess become difficult to clean up, it is better to choose to retire at its peak. Just like the richest man Wang chose to completely divest his real estate business when housing prices were at the highest, the internet was full of bad news. But I didn't know that they had already had foresight. Let's talk about the gaming and short video industries. Although they are hugely profitable, they are too bad of character. After accumulating enough capital, we still need to enter the industry and create as many jobs as possible, which will truly benefit the country and the people. Although Li Jie didn't explain, Zhou Ziyu still vaguely guessed something. She thought for a while and said with a smile, "Okay, then I will go to Hong Kong Island." Li Jie smiled and said, "Actually, our children have a much higher starting point than ordinary people. We still need to cultivate his thoughts and character rather than interfere excessively with his choices. Even if he doesn't want to take over my business when he grows up, I can understand." Zhou Ziyu was thoughtful after listening, nodded and said, "Husband, I understand." The two walked for a while. When passing by a small stall selling handicrafts, Li Jie seemed to see something and pulled Zhou Ziyu over. This is a small stall of Indian origin, displaying a variety of small handicrafts in bright colors. Li Jie picked up a crown made of beautiful shells, small conches, and crystals from the stall. "This crown is so beautiful," Zhou Ziyu said softly. "Put it on and take a look," Li Jie said and put the crown on her head. "Does it look good?" Zhou Ziyu touched the crown on his head. "Very nice." After Li Jie finished speaking, he turned to look at the stall owner. "How can I make money?" 500 Singapore dollar, the vendor said and gestured with his hand. "SGD 500? Does this vendor really dare to ask for it? However, this shell crown is really beautiful. When Zhou Tsuyu puts it on, she looks like a Disney princess on the run." In later generations, the Disney Princess on the Run theme was overused, but when used on Zhou Ziyu, it was truly worthy of the name. Li Jie took out $500 new coins from his wallet and handed them to the vendor, then pulled Zhou Ziyu away. Zhou Ziyu wanted to take off the crown, but Li Jie stopped her. "Just wear it, it's very beautiful." He smiled and said, "Don't bow your head, the crown will fall off." Zhou Ziyu was stunned for a moment, then showed a bright smile. By the time Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu returned to Shanghai after their honeymoon, it would already be early August. After settling the family affairs and appeasing Xiao Qiao and Zhou Ziyu, Li Jie focused more on company affairs. Half a year later, the number of Kakao users has grown to more than 80 million, close to 90 million. From more than 60 million to more than 80 million in half a year, it only increased by more than 20 million, which seems a bit slow. In fact, Kakao already occupies the vast majority of the market, and WeChat is also grabbing users in the new smartphone market. Relying on QQ synchronization and pre-installation on mobile phones, WeChat users have grown to more than 40 million, which has doubled from more than 20 million half a year ago. Not only did Kakao fail to widen the gap, it actually narrowed. As time goes by, the power of the Penguin Group is undoubtedly revealed. However, Li Jie is not too worried about this. He still has a trump card that he has not yet used. When the Chinese New Year comes, he will let WeChat go out of business. In early August, the Kudong app was revised again. Since the short video mobile version was launched in 2009, this is the sixth revision. The PA function has become more complete and the short video content types have become more abundant. More and more players are starting to record short videos on their mobile phones. A group of new anchors such as Lu Xianxian became popular on Kudong app. When she went to Jeju Island to attend a wedding, she did not forget to take videos with her mobile phone everywhere. In 2 years' time, Li Jie plans to split off Kudong Video, close the computer version of the short video and live broadcast business, and merge the long video business with Bilibili. There is also good news in July and August. After more than a year of publicity, the revenue of small mobile games such as Angry Birds, Fruit Slicing and Plants vs. Zombies has begun to skyrocket in Europe and the United States. Angry Birds has even exceeded 200 million downloads across all platforms, and its revenue this year is expected to exceed $100 million. Now in Europe and the United States, young people who don't have Angry Birds on their mobile phones are embarrassed to chat with others. Li Jie has repeatedly urged the animation production department to speed up the production of the Angry Birds movie, even if it reduces some quality. While the popularity of the game is still high, hurry up and let the movie come out to reap the rewards. After all, this kind of mobile phone game can become popular very quickly. It is also worth mentioning that Xiaomi mobile phones were launched in July, priced at 1,989 yuan. Such a low price directly caused the mobile phone to sell out. The hot sales of Xiaomi mobile phones have also driven the growth of Kakao users. In the blink of an eye, the time has arrived at the end of August, and the annual school season has arrived again. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 593. August 31st, it was clear and the sun was shining brightly. The campus of Hongchen Normal University is crowded with people, including freshmen dragging their luggage to report, parents seeing them off, and orientation volunteers wearing red vests and little red hats. A school bus stopped at the north gate square of the school, and a group of freshmen and their parents got off the bus. Pang Lina dragged her luggage and walked out of the car along with the flow of people. Then she adjusted the glasses on the bridge of her nose and looked around. I found that the environment of this school is not bad, the environment is beautiful, the decoration of the new campus is also quite stylish, and the teaching buildings are very new. Okay, family, this is Hongchen Normal University, the school where Li Jiezhang once attended. I will report first. Later I will show you the dormitory where he lived. Don't forget to like it. A tall and thin girl wearing a pair of round-rimmed glasses was holding a stand with a mobile phone stuck in front of the stand. She seemed to be filming something and talking to herself while filming, completely ignoring the new students and parents around her. Their strange looks. The girl is not very beautiful, but she looks very friendly, especially her two dimples are revealed when she smiles. Pang Lina looked at her strangely, not understanding what the other party was doing. She is a bit envious of the girl's generous appearance. She is relatively introverted and cares very much about other people's eyes and thoughts. The senior sister in charge of welcoming the new students glanced at the girl, feeling a little surprised. Everyone, follow me. I will take you to the reporting office. Pang Lina walked forward with the team. She subconsciously glanced in the direction of the girl again and saw that she was still taking pictures of the campus scenery with a mobile phone holder. It attracted the attention of many passing students. When they arrived at the welcome reception point in front of the school's small shopping mall, the seniors and senior sisters sitting behind the table saw Pang Li and the other freshmen arriving, and they all stood up to greet them. Several senior students rushed to take the luggage from the pretty girls and enthusiastically took them to go through the admission procedures. Among them was the girl who kept taking pictures with her mobile phone. But there were no attentive seniors around Pang Lina, who makes her a little fat and relatively average looking. She could only walk to the crowded payment office under the guidance of a senior student. After paying the tuition and getting the receipt, handing over the student status file, photos, and household registration transfer certificate, Pang Lina broke out in a sweat after completing the admission procedures. There were too many people at the venue and the weather was too hot. After arriving in Hongcheng, Pang Lina found that this place was different from what she had imagined. It did not have the beauty of the Jiangnan water town, but only hot and high temperatures. She let out a breath, wiped the sweat from her forehead, and dragged her suitcase toward the dormitory area. Arriving at the dormitory building, Pang Lina got the dormitory key from the dormitory and after paying a 20 yuan deposit. "Where is 211? As soon as she arrived at the door of the dormitory, she heard laughter coming from the dormitory door that was ajar. Pang Lina pushed the door open and walked in, and saw two girls already inside. One was placing personal belongings on the cabinet under the bed, and the other was making the bed. After seeing the girl packing her things, she couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. This girl is exactly the girl who was taking photos with her cell phone before. The girl looked at Pang Lina, thought for a while and said with a smile, "Classmate, we should have come on the same school bus, right? Hello, my name is Lu Su, from Hunan province." Pang Lina was a little surprised. She didn't expect that the other party had noticed her. "Yes, my name is Pang Lina and I am from Haihe province. Are you from the northeast?" "I'm from the northeast too," the girl who was making the bed said in surprise. She is very tall, probably around 178 centimeters tall, but her upper teeth are a bit protruding, causing her articulation to be unclear. "My name is Ge Walai and I am from Tonghua, Ji province." "Where are you from?" "Haihe province." "I'm from Shancheng, mountain city." "Then you and Li Zhezang are from the same hometown," Lu Su said in surprise. Because of Li Zhe, Shancheng, a small town on the northeastern border, became famous in China 10 years ahead of schedule. Yeah, Pang Lina nodded. She enrolled in Hongcheng Normal University because of Li Zhe, thinking that she could join Kudong Group after graduation. "Then do you know anything about Li Zhezang's past?" Lu Su asked with interest. "I don't know much about him. He and I are from the same hometown and have never met each other. There are millions of people in this mountain city." Pang Lina thought for a moment and then said, "I only know that he graduated from Yuying Middle School. In fact, she and Li Zhe do have some relationship. Her father used to be a colleague of Li Zhe's father in the mine, so they knew each other. But she won't talk about it." "Yuying Middle School? How is this school?" "It's okay." Pang Lina said this a bit against her will. The best high schools in the mountain city are number 1 middle school and number 3 middle school. Private middle schools like Yuying Middle School can only be regarded as rubbish schools. Who would have thought that this rubbish school could produce such a powerful person as Li Zhe?" Guilai said a little vaguely, "We are late. Mr. Li Zhe just graduated this year. Otherwise, we might have a chance to see him. The economy in the Northeast has generally been in recession in recent years, so the Northeast as a whole feels low-key and even lonely. Li Zhe's appearance has become the pride of the Northeast people and has given the Northeast a sigh of relief." Lu Su said with a smile, "Although Mr. Li Zhe has graduated, Senior Chen Xian and the others are still here. Even she is a senior, so she probably rarely comes to school." Pang Lina and Gu Walai looked at each other, both confused. "Chen Xian. Sister Chen Xian is a big anchor on Kudong Video, with nearly 10 million fans," Lu Su explained. Anchor. Panglina heard about this career from her classmates in high school, but her family conditions were relatively poor. She did not have a computer at home and rarely went to internet cafes to surf the internet. She had never watched live broadcasts or short videos. Lusu, I saw you were filming with it just now. Are you also the anchor? Gwilai then said curiously, I heard that you can make money by being an anchor, millions a year, is it true? Lusu shook her head. A big anchor with nearly 10 million fans like senior sister Chen Xian can earn millions or even millions a year, but I am just a small anchor with only 50,000 or 60,000 fans a month. Just make 1 or 2,000 yuan. Even 1 or 2,000 is still a lot. Ge Wilai said enviously, Lusu, you are so awesome. You can make money by yourself while you are still studying. Lusu smiled and said, it's not me who's great, it's Li Jie who's great. Without the video platform he established, I wouldn't be able to make this money. I'm taking advantage of him. After the college entrance examination, some classmates in their class went to work at McDonald's, and they only got 1,500 yuan after working hard for a month. Unlike her live broadcast for 2 or 3 hours every night, she can easily earn 3 to 4,000 a month. Earning 1 or 2,000 a month was just Lusu's humble words to Gwilai and the others. Her live broadcast style is more interesting, and although she doesn't have many fans, her income is still considerable. Gwilai nodded and said, that's true, you have benefited from Li Zhi's reputation. Speaking of which, the people who were 1 year older than Li Zhi are the ones who really benefited from the glory. His roommate Yang Hao and Luan Xiaolin from the Aviation Academy next door have all become big stars. Yes, that's what it means for a person to achieve enlightenment. Chickens and dogs ascend to heaven. There are quite a few people who followed him to get the glory. It's a pity that we came late. After Lusu finished speaking, he looked at the time and said, yeah, it's almost 12 o'clock. Let's go have dinner. After locking the dormitory door, the 3 girls, Lusu and Panglina, went downstairs together and walked towards the cafeteria. This school is quite big. It's just a little too remote. They walked and talked. Lusu said as if she was remembering something, Lena, were you influenced by Li Jie to apply for Hongchen Normal University? Well, that's right, Panglina said. In fact, it was her father who forced her to apply for Hongchen Normal University, saying that he could get her into the Kudong group because of his connections. Lusu, what about you? Same. Lusu said with a smile, Hongchen Normal University has a professional short video shooting team. It is more convenient to shoot short videos here. Me too, Gwilai also said. If it weren't for President Li Jie, I wouldn't even know there is a school called Hongchen Normal University. Since Li Jie became the youngest billionaire in the country, Hongchen Normal University has also become famous. The enrollment rate has increased significantly in the past 2 years, and even the score line has increased this year. Having a nationally renowned and outstanding alumnus is of great benefit to the school. Just like jackpot to Hongchen Normal University. In early September, the filming of the TV series Why is Secretary Lu Like This that Li Jie promised to Lu Kaiu started. Since both Li Jie and Lu Kaiu were very busy with work, they were unable to spare time for filming. Therefore, the entire crew could only circle around the two of them. Whenever they were free, they would shoot for a while, and the rest of the time they could only wait. This resulted in an extremely slow progress in filming and a sharp increase in filming costs. Originally it only took 10 to 20 million to complete the filming, but now it requires 40 to 50 million or more. However, if you have money, you can do whatever you want. After Jack Ma became the richest man, he recruited a large number of kung fu superstars such as Jet Li, Universe Dan, Wu Jing, Tony Jia, etc., and made a movie Kung Fu Dao to get rid of his martial arts addiction. UI? No, it's all about money. Office of the President of Kudong Group. Li Jie stood in front of the floor-length mirror, raising his head and letting Lu Kaiyu carefully arrange his tie and suit. After she finished tidying up, Li Jie looked at himself in the mirror and said with some pride, "Don't you feel dazzling?" "Are you talking about sunshine?" Lu Kaiyu asked with a smile. "No." Li Jie shook his head slightly, then he took 2 steps back, raised his hands, closed his eyes and said in admiration, "It's the light in me." "Pook," Lu Kaiyu couldn't hold back her laughter. "Ka," the director poked his head out from behind a camera nearby and said, "Secretary Lu, you have to restrain yourself and not laugh." This is the 3rd time Lu Kaiyu has laughed. If the other party hadn't been the boss's wife, he would have cursed her a long time ago. "I'm sorry, I will pay attention next time." Lu Kaiyu came to the director and apologized. "It's okay, Secretary Lu, let's take a break before filming," the director said kindly. "Is it that funny?" Li Jie glanced at Lu Kaiyu. She still has never acted, and her acting skills are incomparable to Park Min-young, who played Kim Mi-so in the original version of What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. "Yeah." Lu Kaiyu smiled and nodded. "Looking at your stinky fart, I can't help but want to laugh," she said in a low voice. "Husband, this character's personality is quite similar to yours." "That's right, this was originally the script you conceived," Lu Kaiyu said, unable to help but laugh again. Li Jie looked at her and smiled, with a playful smile. If there weren't directors and staff around, he would definitely grab the long-legged guy and teach him a lesson. "Dare you make fun of him?" The script of Why Is Secretary Lu Like This was written by Li Jie himself. He definitely couldn't remember so much content in the original TV series. He just wrote a brief synopsis of the story, and the specific content was filled in by the screenwriting team. To put it simply, it is a story about a narcissistic and arrogant CEO who abuses his wife and feels happy for a while, and then learns that the female secretary is going on a blind date and pursues his wife at the crematorium. Because the script that the screenwriting team initially perfected was a bit bloody, and they also came up with a warm-hearted male lead and a scheming female lead, Li Jie was very dissatisfied. He directly sent the script back and asked them to eliminate the bloody plot. He revised it several times and finally came up with a satisfactory script. Li Jie used to be disgusted with those bloody plots when watching TV series. Now that he has the power, of course he has to act according to his own ideas. In fact, even if the drama Why Is Secretary Lu Like This is filmed, it will not be broadcast in a short time. After all, not long after he got married, he aired an idol drama about having an affair with his secretary. Isn't this an act of seeking a scandal? In the evening, Li Jie returned to Tangxiang Villa. When he arrived at Xiao Qiao's room, he found her packing her suitcase. "What are you doing? You're not going to play runaway again, are you?" "Yes, I'm going to run away from home," Xiao Qiao laughed after finishing speaking. "I'm going to start school tomorrow, right? I plan to bring some clothes and daily necessities to school, and maybe I'll stay in the dormitory for a night occasionally. When I first started the book, I said that I would let you see Xiao Qiao become a graduate student. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 594. Postgraduate students do not need military training and are reported later than undergraduate students. Undergraduate students at Shanghai Normal University will report on September 3rd and 4th, but graduate students will have to wait until September 10th and 11th. You start school tomorrow? Then I'll see you off, Li Jie said. Xiao Qiao smiled and shook his head. "No, I just need a bodyguard to accompany me. You should still be busy with the company." The next day, Xiao Qiao got up early, and Li Jie also sat up, glanced at her and said, "How about I send you there?" Xiao Qiao said while putting on clothes, "No need. If you go and someone recognizes you, I won't be able to go to school peacefully." Why, I can't see the light anymore, Li Jie said funnily. I can't not show up at your school for 3 years, right? It's not that you're in the spotlight, but your reputation is too big. Once our relationship is exposed in school, there will definitely be a lot of people trying to get along with you. It's boring to think about it. Xiao Jiao paused and said, so the sooner your identity is revealed, the better. You didn't like to be in the spotlight back then? Isn't it bad to be complimented? Li Jie asked. Xiao Jiao chuckled, but I don't like it anymore. It's actually nice to be a normal person. When she first entered college, Xiao Jiao liked to be in the spotlight and liked the feeling of being noticed, but now she is a little tired of the life of being noticed and complimented. I get annoyed when I see that kind of fake smile and flattery. Is it good to be an ordinary person? Li Jie shook his head in his heart. This Xiao Jiao still had no experience in the world, and his thoughts were relatively simple. Zhou would never say such a thing. Ordinary people seem to be free, but in fact they are the least free. Everything is decided by people, nothing is up to you. Even if it is badly displayed, it is not something you can display if you want. After washing up and having breakfast, Li Jie and bodyguard Zhou Jing accompanied Xiao Jiao out of the villa with their suitcases and quilts and came to the garage. Bedding for graduate students of Shanghai Normal University is not provided by the school. Students can bring their own from home or buy them in the supermarket on campus. Xiao Jiao glanced at Lamborghini, Porsche, Land Rover and other luxury cars, but didn't choose any of them. Instead, he came to a BMW X4. I'll just drive there today. Other cars are too high profile. This BMW X4 was driven by Zhou Jing and her bodyguards. Okay, whatever. Li Jie shook his head inwardly. Does this Xiao Jiao really want to pretend to be an ordinary person? But who can ordinary people afford to drive a BMW X4? The retail price of a BMW X4 is 500,000 to 600,000 yuan. However, the average annual income of domestic urban residents is less than 24,000 yuan. For ordinary people to buy such a car, they would have to live without food or drink for 24 to 5 years. Only experts would believe that low-income people have vacant houses that can be rented out. He put the suitcase and bedding in the trunk, and then said to Xiao Jiao, "Are you sure you don't want me to send them?" I said no. Why are you so long-winded? After Xiao Jiao finished speaking, he turned to bodyguard Zhou Jing and said, "Sister Jing, let's get in the car." Li Jie stood there, watching the white BMW X4 drive away. For some reason, he felt like sending his daughter to school. He turned around and said to bodyguard Zhou Chao, "Don't follow me today, go protect them both." Most of Shanghai Normal University's undergraduate students are at the Fengxian campus in the suburbs, while most graduate students are at the Suhui campus in the urban area. Xiao Jiao was walking on campus, looking at the students coming and going, and felt like time had reversed. She couldn't help but think of the first time she stepped into the university campus. She was novel, ignorant, and full of beautiful but unrealistic imaginations about university life. For her, the best thing about college was meeting Li Jie. Although this guy has become a scumbag now. Xiao Jiao, Zhou Jing suddenly pulled her arm. "What's wrong?" Xiao Jiao came to his senses. "You're going the wrong way. The reporting office is not here." As a bodyguard, Zhou Jing had already come to the school in advance to familiarize herself with the situation. When I arrived at the college's reporting office, the female teacher who received her immediately became extremely enthusiastic after reading Xiao Jiao's information. She completed the admission procedures for her as quickly as possible and even sent her to the dormitory in person. This made the students behind Xiao Jiao look confused. Xiao Jiao didn't understand anything. Seeing the female teacher's excessive enthusiasm, she immediately understood that the other party must know her identity, and politely rejected the female teacher's kindness. Before going to the dormitory, you must first go to the logistics office to get the key. In the dormitory of Shanghai Normal University, the one facing the sun is 1002, while the one facing the sun is 1000. It is worth mentioning that there is a subsidy for graduate students, which is 267 yuan a month. Xiao Jiao was a little excited about this. She could finally make money. She has never made any money in all her life. After receiving the key from the logistics office, Xiao Jiao, accompanied by Zhou Jing, dragged her luggage and bedding to the dormitory building. The environment of this school is very good. Xiao Jiao looked around as he walked. With red walls and hundreds of tiles, stone bridges, running water, and green trees, this school has a sense of age and atmosphere. It is said that the original version of Why is the Shengxiao Silent was filmed at Shanghai Normal University. Hongqian Normal University is also good, with a large campus and high greenery. However, because it is a newly built campus, it lacks the historical heritage and has a weak atmosphere. Shanghai Normal University is divided into east and west parts by the road. Xiao Jiao was placed on the 8th floor in the west. The building is 13 floors high and has an elevator. The dormitory is a 4-person room with a bed and a table. There is a fan but no air conditioning. There is no independent bathroom, but there is a bathroom on each floor. The conditions were pretty good, at least better than when she was in Hongqian Normal School. Xiao Jiao's dormitory number was 907. She opened the door and walked in, and found that a girl had already arrived first. The girl is of medium build, has short ear-length hair, and wears a pair of round-rimmed glasses. She is sitting at the desk reading a book. Seeing Xiao Jiao and Zhou Jing walking in with their luggage and bedding, she quickly stood up and said enthusiastically to Xiao Jiao, "Classmate, you are from this dormitory too." "Hello, my name is Jinyu Ma, from southern Jiangsu." "Hello, my name is Xiao Jiao, Zuyuk Xiao, from Xishan, Baihe province." Xiao Jiao also smiled and greeted the other party. "Xiao Jiao, which school did you go to for your undergraduate degree?" "Hongqian Normal University. What about you?" "I am from the Normal University, and I passed the exam at this school." After Jinyu Ma finished speaking, her eyes fell on Zhou Jing behind Xiao Jiao. "Who is this?" Zhou Jing's cold temperament doesn't look like a student at first glance. "This is my cousin, Zhou Jing." Xiao Jiao glanced at Zhou Jing and said. After greetings, Xiao Jiao began to pack his things. Zhou Jing threw the quilt onto the upper bunk, then jumped up and helped Xiao Jiao make the bed. Jinyu Ma looked at the side and was stunned. "Xiao Jiao, your cousin is very skilled. She must have been a soldier, right?" "Well, she spent several years in the army," Xiao Jiao said with a smile. At this moment, another girl opened the door and walked in. "Hello." The girl's appearance is above 7 points. She is a thick-faced beauty with a tall and sexy figure. Plus she is good at dressing up. She looks very beautiful and attractive. The three of them got to know each other again. The girl introduced herself as Tong Yuxuan, a native of New Shanghai. She graduated from Shanghai Industrial and Commercial Foreign Languages Institute, a private, self-funded institution. I don't know how she was admitted to Shanghai Normal University as a graduate student. New Shanghai residents are non-locals who are permanently resident in Shanghai. They usually have household registration or housing. Li Jie is also considered a New Shanghai Nessa, but he never uses this title to introduce himself. Tong Yuxuan's clothes, bags, and cosmetics are almost all from famous brands. She seems to be from a good family, and there is a sense of superiority in her words. "Xiao Jiao, your skirt is nice. It's from Chanel, right? Where did you buy it?" Tong Yuxuan looked at Xiao Jiao's skirt carefully. She highly suspected that the dress was a high imitation. She had only seen this dress in fashion shows on TV. It was a Chanel haute couture dress, but the style was slightly different. Xiao Jiao was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said vaguely, I found someone to customize this. She forgot that she shouldn't have come wearing this dress. Chanel haute couture skirts start at RMB 100,000, not to mention that Xiao Qiao's is a special style. Those who can afford it are either rich or expensive. This skirt was bought by Li Jie for Xiao Qiao earlier. She rarely buys brand name clothes now. She always looks for well-known fashion designers to design and customize them herself. Every piece of clothing is unique. Really rich people wear high-end clothing and don't pay much attention to brands. Seeing Xiao Qiao's guilty look, Tong Yuxuan immediately confirmed her suspicions and couldn't help but feel a bit contemptuous. However, is the quality of today's high imitations so good? How is it the same as the real thing? In fact, it means that she is not sophisticated enough. If it were Josie's socialite best friends, they would recognize her at a glance. The three of them talked for a while, and soon the last girl came. She is a very tall local girl from Shanghai named Yao Ling. She is 173 centimeters tall and is the tallest among the 4 girls in the dormitory. Yao Ling's appearance is average, but she is tall, fair-skinned, and has a good temperament. She can barely be considered a beauty. After all, as long as a girl knows how to put on makeup, she can get a score of 6 or 7 from a score of 5. If you have a big face, you can use your hair to cover it. If you have bad skin, you can apply foundation and concealer. If you have a bad figure, you can fake it. Jin Yume glanced at the time and said, "It's almost noon, why don't we go to dinner together? It can be regarded as the first dinner together in our dormitory." Tong Yuxuan shook her head, "No, my boyfriend and I have made an appointment to have dinner together at noon, maybe next time." Beep 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 dash at this moment, a whistle suddenly came from downstairs. "He should be here," Tong Yuxuan said, walked to the balcony and looked down, then said with a smile, "It's him, then I'll leave first." After she left, Jin Yume, Yao Ling and the others also came to the balcony and looked down. I found a blue convertible sports car parked downstairs, and a young man wearing a white shirt and black shorts was sitting next to the car. Seeing Tong Yuxuan coming out of the building, he immediately greeted her. "Yuxuan's boyfriend seems to be quite rich," Jin Yume said. "Yuxuan's conditions are so good, there must be no shortage of outstanding men to pursue her." After Yao Ling finished speaking, she turned to look at Xiao Qiao beside her. "Xiao Qiao, you are so beautiful, you must have a boyfriend, right?" Xiao Qiao smiled and said, "I'm already married." "Are you married?" Jin Yume and Yao Ling were both surprised when they heard this. In this era, it was not popular for college students to get married on campus. Even after graduation, not many couples chose to get married immediately. After all, you need to have a certain material foundation to get married. "Xiao Qiao, your boyfriend, no, what does your husband do? Is he also in Shanghai?" Jin Yume asked curiously. "He and I are college classmates and are currently running a small company in Shanghai," Xiao Qiao said. "Well, a small company with tens of billions of assets. That's great. You two are classmates. You get married right after graduation. Then he starts a business and you continue studying. Such a relationship is really enviable." Jin Yume subconsciously thought that Li Jie had just started his business. "Then have you two bought a house in Shanghai?" "I bought it. It's a small apartment." "Well, a duplex small apartment of 140 square meters. Did your husband pay for it?" "Yes, he paid for it." "Then he is very capable. Housing prices in Shanghai are not cheap." "Haha, okay." Yao Ling suddenly said, "Xiao Qiao, are you buying a commercial or residential apartment?" "Commercial and residential apartments cannot be settled." Xiao Qiao smiled and said, "No, it's a residence, a finely decorated residence." "Where is the house?" "Just over there on the Bund." "Isn't that pretty close?" "Well, it only takes half an hour to drive." Xiaojiao, why do you still live on campus if it's so close? Jinyu Ma asked. I don't live there all the time. I come back to stay for a day and a half occasionally, Xiaojiao said. You don't live on campus, and neither does Yuxuan. Jinyu Ma said, turning to look at Yaoling. Then there are only two of us left in the dormitory. Xiaojiao had a meal with Jinyu Ma and Yaoling. After finishing the meal, she said goodbye to them and left the school. Today is Saturday the 10th, just reporting that school won't start until Monday the 12th. Looking at the retreating figures of Xiaojiao and Zhoujing, Yaoling said thoughtfully, Xiaojiao doesn't want it to be as simple as she said. What do you mean? Jinyu Ma asked. Ma, have you noticed Xiaojiao's cousin? What's wrong? You haven't noticed that her cousin is a bit submissive to her? She's not like a cousin, but more like a bodyguard. Bodyguard? When Jinyu Ma heard this, she thought about it and found that it was true. Yaoling continued, ordinary people can't afford bodyguards. Even rich people don't bring bodyguards. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 595. Time flies, and Xiaojiao has been in school for more than 10 days. The main task of graduate students is to research topics, and they have less class time. Sometimes there are no classes for a day or two. Unlike undergraduate students, the main task is theoretical study. On this day, Xiaojiao was sitting in the classroom, listening to the teacher's lecture absent-mindedly. She was in a bad mood recently. When Zhou went for a prenatal checkup again, the doctor confirmed that she was pregnant with a boy. If nothing unexpected happens, this child will be Li Zhe's eldest son. After learning the news, Xiaojiao felt unspeakably complicated and jealous. Seeing Zhou's proud look, she really wanted to punch him in the face. If Zhou knew her thoughts, she would definitely feel innocent. In order not to irritate Xiaojiao, she had already restrained herself. 2 days ago, Xiaojiao moved out of Sandalwood Villa and lived temporarily in the Bund apartment. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to control her emotions and would really punch the complacent mistress. Sometimes, Xiaojiao even wanted to imitate the method of the mistress of the other party in the TV series, and buy some abortion pills for Zhou to put in her food. However, she just wanted to think about it. She couldn't bear to be so cruel. Who will answer this question? No one raised their hands, so I called the name. Xiaojiao. The old professor in class suddenly called Xiaojiao's name. Xiaojiao stood up in confusion and looked at Zhoujing sitting next to her as if asking for help. Zhoujing gave her a helpless expression. In order to provide personal protection, she also made a set of teaching materials and accompanied Xiaojiao in class as an auditor. However, she only graduated from junior high school and was already hard-headed sitting in the classroom listening to lectures, so don't expect her to listen carefully. When the bell rang for the end of get out of class, Xiaojiao walked out of the classroom with Zhoujing holding her books and followed the flow of people down the stairs. When she answered the question just now, she didn't know anything about it. The old professor was speechless and looked at him like a scumbag. Xiaojiao majored in tourism management at university, and chose preschool education as a cross-major during the postgraduate entrance examination. She did not study this to become a teacher, but there is a special shortage of high-end talents in preschool education, which is conducive to staying in school. However, since it was a cross-major course, she had a poor foundation and weak basic knowledge, which made it difficult for her to learn. This guy Li Zhe actually wants her to study for a PhD, Xiaojiao thought bitterly in her heart. A few days ago, Li Zhe half-jokingly asked her if she wanted to get another PhD. After she graduates from graduate school, arrangements can be made for her to continue her doctoral studies at the University of Hong Kong. Being the only female doctor in the family. At that time, Xiaojiao even wanted to bite him to death. She still doesn't know how to survive the past 3 years of graduate school. This guy Li Jia actually wants to send her to study for a PhD. Why can Zhou Huixu, Lu Changjia, and Shen Xiaohound do whatever they want, while she has to study, and study again? Xiao Jiao and Zhou Jing left the teaching building and were about to pick up their car, when their cell phones suddenly rang. It was Jin Yuma calling. Yuma, are you looking for me? Let's have a meal together? Okay, I have time. After hanging up the phone, Xiao Jiao said to Zhou Jing, Sister Jing, let's go back to the dormitory. Although school has been open for more than 10 days, she has only lived in the dormitory for a day or two. She has not had much contact with Jin Yuma and her roommates, so there is no relationship. When they returned to the dormitory, Xiao Jiao found that Jin Yuma, Yao Ling, and Tong Yuxuan were all there. Xiao Jiao, you're here, Tong Yuxuan said affectionately. She is just a little arrogant and looks down on others, but she is not stupid, but very smart. She has already discovered that the cousin who is always with Xiao Jiao is a bodyguard. How can ordinary people have bodyguards to protect them? After realizing that Xiao Jiao's identity was unusual, she quickly changed her attitude. Xiao Jiao also smiled and nodded to Tong Yuxuan. Yao Ling said with a smile, it's been a while since school started, and we haven't gotten together in the dormitory yet. Xiao Jiao and Yuxuan, you two are busy people. Either you have something to do, or she has something to do. It's not easy for everyone to finally get together this time. Tong Yuxuan said, by the way, you can bring your family members to this party. I'll call my boyfriend, and Yao Ling will call her boyfriend. She paused and said, Xiao Jiao, please call that person from your family over and let us meet. Among the 4 girls in the dormitory, Xiao Jiao is already married, Tong Yuxuan and Yao Ling also have boyfriends, and only Jin Yuma is single. By the time they reach graduate school, girls usually have boyfriends, and even if they don't, they basically talked about it. The phoenix feather water chestnut has never been discussed at all. Xiao Jiao smiled and said, next time, his company has a lot of things going on recently and is quite busy. He is the boss, not a part-time worker. No matter how busy he is, he still has to spend time with his girlfriend. No, he has to spend time with his wife, Tong Yuxuan insisted. Yao Ling also said, Xiao Jiao, just call him over. We are all very curious about how he caught up with such a beautiful woman like you. Actually, there's nothing interesting to see. He looks pretty average. You might be disappointed after seeing him. If Li Zhen knew that the president praised him so much, he would definitely take care of himself. Seeing that Xiao Jiao was unwilling to live or die, Tong Yuxuan and Yao Ling looked at each other and had no choice but to give up. Beep 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 dash. At this time, the sound of a car horn came from downstairs. Jin Yuma subconsciously glanced in the direction of the balcony. Yuxuan, it should be your boyfriend here. She was annoyed by Tong Yuxuan and her boyfriend's behavior of honking the horn randomly, so couldn't she call someone? Isn't it just a little money, nothing to show off? Don't worry, let him wait below for a while. Tong Yuxuan smiled reservedly. Yao Ling picked up the vibrating phone, took a look at it, and said, let's go down, my boyfriend will be here soon. Xiao Jiao and the other 4 girls left the dormitory together and went downstairs. There was a 7-seater Toyota Highlander parked in front of the dormitory building, and Tong Yuxuan and her boyfriend were leaning on the car. Seeing Tong Yuxuan and the others coming out, he immediately greeted them with a smile, hello beauties, I am Yuxuan's boyfriend Qi Jianbin. As he spoke, his eyes focused on Xiao Jiao. Although Xiao Jiao's figure is a bit off, she is good looking. Especially the pure and smart appearance is very attractive to men. Tong Yuxuan said with a smile, there were so many of us today and I couldn't sit down, so I asked him to drive a 7-seater car over. Qi Jianbin then said, the car is not good, so let's make do with the beauties. His words were somewhat pretentious. Sorry, I'm late at this time, a young man who was 180 centimeters tall and wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses came over. Yao Ling introduced, "This is my boyfriend Yuan Sija, who currently works in a public institution." After a few people exchanged greetings, Qi Jianbin greeted, "Everyone, hurry up and get in the car." After saying that, he went around to the passenger seat and helped Tong Yuxuan open the door. "Xiao Jiao, Yuma, Yao Ling, get in the car." Tong Yuxuan got into the passenger seat. Jin Yuma, Yao Ling, and her boyfriend Yuan Sija also got in the car. Just when Xiao Jiao and Zhou Jing were about to get in the car, her phone suddenly rang. After she hung up the phone, she said apologetically to Tong Yuxuan and the others, "I'm sorry, I suddenly have something to do, so I won't go. I'll treat you all to dinner next time I get the chance." After saying that, Xiao Jiao took Zhou Jing and left in a hurry. Tong Yuxuan and Yao Ling looked at each other, feeling a little disappointed. "We originally agreed to have a dinner party with 4 people in the dormitory, but now one person is suddenly missing." Jin Yuma said, "I heard that the person calling Xiao Jiao seemed to be a man. Do you think it could be her husband?" "Husband?" Qi Jianbin said in surprise. "She's married." "Yes, I got married right after graduating from college." After Tong Yuxuan finished speaking, she said to Jin Yuma and Yao Ling, "We'll find out if we follow them. Hurry up and drive." She said this to her boyfriend. As soon as Xiao Jiao arrived outside the school gate, he saw Li Zhe's Bentley Arnage RL parked at the gate. The backseat window was half lowered, revealing Li Zhe's face. "Jiao Bao, get in the car." "Why did you come here suddenly?" Xiao Jiao said, half angry and half resentful. "Coming to pick you up." Li Zhe paused and then said, "If I don't come to pick you up, are you not going to go back?" Ruan Jing got off the passenger seat, walked around and opened the door for her. "Miss Jiao, get in the car." Xiao Jiao glanced at Li Zhe, then walked to the car and got in. Seeing the Bentley Arnage RL driving away, Jin Yuma, Yao Ling, and Tong Yuxuan looked at each other, all a little shocked. "Yuxuan, your roommate's husband is not simple," Qi Jianbin couldn't help but say. "A Yazi RL costs at least 5 million, and even more impressive is the license plate A77777. This license plate is worth more than the car. Those who can own such a license plate in Shanghai have a by no means simple status, they are either rich or noble." "Didn't Xiao Jiao say that her husband just runs a small company?" Jin Yuma said with some disbelief. "Do you think Xiao Jiao is?" Tong Yuxuan stopped mid-sentence. She had some doubts that Xiao Jiao was being taken care of. Otherwise, why should the man's identity be kept secret? But when I think about it carefully, I think it's impossible. Yao Ling suddenly remembered something and asked, "I remember Xiao Jiao graduated from Hongcheng Normal University, right?" "Yeah, what's wrong?" Jin Yuma said. "It's nothing." Yao Ling said this, but there was a thoughtful look on her face. She vaguely guessed who the man was. If it was really him, then she really had an amazing roommate. Bentley Arnage RL. Li Zhe glanced at Xiao Jiao, who was a little silent. "Jiao Bao, I know you feel bad and don't really want to see Tsuyu, but she will leave soon." "Leave? Where is she going?" Xiao Jiao said a little surprised. "Go to Hong Kong Island to wait for delivery," Li Zhe said. "Going to Hong Kong Island to wait for delivery?" Xiao Jiao thought for a moment and said, "You said before that you would send me to the University of Hong Kong to study for a PhD. Husband, are you planning to go to Hong Kong Island?" "She just lacks social experience and is not stupid. On the contrary, she is a little smart." Li Zhe chuckled lightly and stretched out his arms to hold her in his arms. "I have this plan. I may go to Hong Kong Island in a few years. How could I bear to throw you over there alone?" Xiao Jiao snorted lightly and said with a smile, "Funny words." Then she stopped smiling and said, "Husband, actually I'm not in a mood. I'm just afraid of not going back." What are you afraid of? I will imitate those vicious women in TV dramas, trip up the fox that week, or give her some abortion pills. Li Jie was stunned for a moment, then laughed. Why are you laughing? Xiao Jiao said a little dissatisfied. You do not believe. I really can do it, she emphasized again. You can't do it, Li Jie said firmly. Besides, do you think Zia will be defenseless? Li Jie believes in a saying that if you trust someone too much, you will put the knife in the other person's hand and let him be slaughtered. However, among the four of them, Xiao Jiao, Zhou Ziyu, Lu Kaiyu, and Shen Xinyi, the one he was least prepared for was Xiao Jiao. Yes, she is Zhou Fox, how could she be so unprepared, Xiao Jiao said in a complicated tone, seeming to be disappointed but also feeling a lot more relaxed. Li Jie thought for a while and said, Jiao Bao, do you know? Actually, I don't want you to have children too early. Why? Are you afraid that I will fight with that Zhou Hu? Xiao Jiao stared at him and said. Li Jie shook his head lightly, because if we had a child, you wouldn't be able to focus on me like you do now. Xiao Jiao was startled when he heard this, and then said a little funny, you are not even jealous of your children, are you? Li Jie looked at her and said seriously, Jiao Bao, don't you understand? No one is more important to me than you, not even our children. No one is more important than you. The accumulated emotions in Xiao Jiao's heart began to boil, and she suddenly felt like crying. You're talking sweet talk again. After saying that, she leaned her head tightly in his arms. In fact, what Li Jie said was half true and half false, but he did pay more attention to feelings rather than blood, and he did not have the feudal mentality of favoring sons over daughters and sons being more important than wives. Some people who are not related by blood are more like relatives than those who are related by blood, while some blood relatives are like enemies. He understands the latter point very well. So cherish the person in front of you, cherish the person who is really good to you. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 596. During the National Day holiday in October, Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu, accompanied by 7 or 8 bodyguards, came to Hong Kong Island in a low-key manner. As soon as the group walked out of the airport passage, they saw a middle-aged man in a black suit already waiting. 2 young employees, a man and a woman, stood behind him holding a pickup sign. Seeing Li Jie and the others coming out, he immediately greeted them enthusiastically. Mr. Li, welcome. Li Jie shook hands with the other party and said, hello, Manager Zhang. This middle-aged man is the person in charge of Kudong Group's Hong Kong branch. His name is Zhang Wenhui. He graduated from the University of Hong Kong and previously worked in operations management at a media company. Kudong Group has developed rapidly in the past 2 years and has established offices or branches in Europe, America, Southeast Asia, and other places. At the beginning, there was only an office with a dozen people on Hong Kong Island. However, this year, the office was upgraded to a branch and the scale has expanded rapidly. Currently, there are 50 or 60 employees. The business here is mainly responsible for the promotion of online novels, games, short videos, and other entertainment industries in Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan and Southeast Asia. The influence of culture is the most far-reaching, even greater than that of force. If Kudong Group wants to become a world-class media group, it must not only focus on the country, but also look at the world. Li Jie doesn't dare to expect to enter Europe and the United States. The cultural differences and barriers between the East and the West are not easy to eliminate. What's more, once the conflict between China and the United States intensifies, if people say they will sanction you, they will sanction you. But the Southeast Asian market must be captured. Southeast Asia has a total area of 4.57 million square kilometers, a total of 11 countries, and a population of about 600 million. Among them, there are more than 30 million Chinese and overseas Chinese, accounting for 5/6 of the total number of Chinese and overseas Chinese in the world. It is also one of the regions with the fastest population growth. This is a huge blue ocean market. Back then, Hong Kong films became the Hollywood of the East only after they occupied the Taiwan and Southeast markets. The loss of markets in Taiwan and Southeast Asia directly led to the decline of Hong Kong films. If Kudong Group can occupy the Southeast Asian market, it will be invincible. This year, the overseas version of Kudong Literature and the overseas version of Kudong Short Video were launched overseas. The key areas for development of the overseas version of Kudong Literature are Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. There is only one online translation website in Europe and the United States, which mainly translates some domestic classic fairy tales and fantasy novels. Currently, there are less than 100 works online. Regardless of what is said on the internet in later generations, internet literature is popular in Europe and the United States, and some people are even obsessed with internet articles and even quit drug addiction. However, compared to comics and movies, internet articles are actually very niche. Kudong Literature also purchased the overseas copyrights of a large number of high-quality online articles at low prices. After translating them into Thai, Vietnamese, Malay and other languages, it licensed them to local publishing houses at almost free prices. Not only online articles, but also the copyrights of a large number of film and television works controlled by fun reading culture are also licensed to Southeast Asia at low prices after translation and dubbing. This is only done to cultivate the cultural consumer market. Just like Microsoft back then, it initially ignored domestic users' piracy of Windows, but once you get used to using Windows, it will attack hard and charge for rights protection. Free things in this world are often the most expensive. However, cultivating the market takes time. It may take more than 10 years, or even more, to truly mature the market. Under the guidance of Zhang Wenhui, Li Jie and his party exited the international airport and got into the car one after another. Li Jie and Zhou Zia were riding in a black Bentlite. Bentlite is Bentley. The translation of luxury car brands in Hong Kong is different from that in the mainland. Mercedes-Benz is called Benz, Pingzi, and Porsche is called Bose. Wave. This is a bit unpleasant to hear. Li Jie looked at the scenery outside the car window, feeling a little lost. Husband, what are you thinking about? Zhou Zia glanced at him and asked softly. Li Jie came back to his senses and smiled at her, and then said with some sigh, this used to be the Hollywood of the East. Not only those born in the 1990s and 2000s who grew up watching Hollywood blockbusters, Li Jie and others born in the 1980s grew up watching Hong Kong movies. I am familiar with Hong Kong movies and stars from the 1980s and 1990s, which carry too many memories and feelings. I even have some affinity and affection for Hong Kong Island. Unfortunately, Hong Kong films have completely declined, and that era is gone forever. The motorcade drove for more than 40 minutes and arrived at the Repulse Bay Villa area, stopping in front of a seaside villa. The best villa areas on Hong Kong Island are concentrated in the coastal areas such as Victoria Peak, Repulse Bay, Deepwater Bay, and Big Wave Bay in Sheko. They not only have beautiful scenery, but also have a very quiet environment. They are a gathering place for the rich on Hong Kong Island. Mainland wealthy people who come to Hong Kong Island to purchase real estate mostly choose these locations. Pony Ma bought a 480 million mansion in Tai Long Bay, Sheko, and set a record for the highest price of a house on Hong Kong Island at that time. Li Jie originally wanted to buy a villa in Dallin Bay, Sheko, and be neighbors with Pony Ma. However, there are only 23 villas in the Sheko Dallin Bay villa area, which is not something you can buy with money. Buyers must pass the qualification review and approval of the Sheko Owners Committee before they can move in. And it's not enough to buy anonymously, you must use your real name. Li Jie was too lazy to follow these people's arguments, so he bought the villa in Repulse Bay. Repulse Bay is surrounded by mountains and water, with the beach in front and green mountains in the back. The entire bay is crescent-shaped and the scenery is extremely beautiful. It is one of the most famous bays on Hong Kong Island. Housing prices on Hong Kong Island are the highest in Asia, and housing prices in wealthy areas like Repulse Bay are even higher. The cheapest house costs tens of millions. A multi-million-dollar mansion sounds luxurious, but it is actually only 500 feet in size, which is about 46 square meters, which is very small. Villas cost 12,000–35,000 Hong Kong dollars per square foot, and the smallest villa in Repulse Bay is about 3,000 square feet, so a villa basically costs hundreds of millions. The villa Liege bought is located at number 90 Repulse Bay. It has 3 floors above ground and 1 underground floor. It has a usable area of 5,578 square feet, 5-bedroom suites, an 870-foot platform and a 367-foot small garden. He spent $206 million on this villa. You must know that this is a townhouse, not a single-family house. There are a total of 11 villas in the number 90 Repulse Bay project. It is indeed a Hong Kong island where every inch of land is precious. However, the location of this villa area is excellent and cannot be compared with ordinary single-family villas. The living room, bedrooms on the first and second floors, and the rooftop of each villa all face Repulse Bay, with unobstructed views of the vast Repulse Bay Sea. After entering the villa, Liege pulled Josio upstairs to the rooftop. Looking into the distance through the glass guard rail, the crescent-shaped shallow bay is right in front of you. The beach bed is wide, the water is clear, the sand is fine, the waves are calm, and the scenery is excellent. Xiao, what do you think of the conditions here? The conditions here are already very good. Josio withdrew his gaze, looked back, and said with some sigh, my life now is something I couldn't even imagine before. Husband, thank you for doting on me so much and giving me everything I want. Liege smiled, stretched out his hand and gently held her waist. I work so hard to make money just to spend it on you. As he spoke, his eyes fell on Josio's belly. She has been pregnant for more than 5 months and is slightly pregnant. Then you can live here with peace of mind and raise your baby. I will leave you with a few more bodyguards. There are many clubs here, and you might meet a stupid youngster. Yet Josio nodded lightly. Husband, how many days will you stay here this time? 2 or 3 days. You have a good night's rest today, and I will accompany you around tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. In the next 2 or 3 days, Liege accompanied Josio around Hong Kong Island. Watch the night view at Victoria Peak, visit Disney and Ocean Park, shop in Yau Tsim Mong and Causeway Bay, visit art museums, space museums, etc. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 597. October 4th was the afternoon of the 4th day after Liege and Josio arrived in Hong Kong Island. Liege took Josio to number 25-37 Taixing Street Tai Po Industrial Estate, New Territories, to visit the ATV building. ATV was once one of the TV giants in Hong Kong Island. It was on par with TVB and the two sides had been fighting for 40 years. TVB has wireless training classes, and ATV has ATV training classes. TVB has the Miss Hong Kong pageant, and ATV has the Miss Asia pageant. But this old TV station, which produced a series of classic TV series such as Fearless Heroes, Fist of Fury, and Zombie Taoist, closed down in 2016. And TVB is also declining. In September last year, Wang Zheng, the chairman of the board of directors of a real estate company, invested 2 billion yuan to acquire more than 50% of the equity. He confidently joined ATV and promised that he would use 20 years to build ATV into Asia CNN. However, it has been a year since he took over ATV, but ATV's predicament has not changed. On the contrary, equity disputes continue. As soon as Li Jia and Zhou Ziyu came to the door of the ATV building, a middle-aged man in his 30s greeted them. "Li Sheng, you are welcome to come and visit." Li Jia shook hands with the other party and said, "Manager Cai, I'm sorry to trouble you." The other party is the general manager of ATV in charge of television business, named Cai Changxiu. Accompanied by Cai Changxiu, Li Jia and Zhou Ziyu walked around the ATV building. News Department, Variety Show Production Department, TV Series Production Department. Looking at the empty studio, Li Jia turned to ask manager Cai, "Aren't there any new dramas starting filming recently?" Cai Changxiu sighed lightly and said, "I don't have money, and I can't even pay my employees' monthly rations, salaries, and there are still new movies to shoot." Wang Sheng has a loud tone and fails to do what he does. There was complaint and dissatisfaction in his tone. This year, ATV was unable to pay wages for 6 months and was almost liquidated. However, former executive director Sheng Jia provided financial assistance and was able to temporarily tide over the difficulties. Li Jia smiled faintly and did not answer. This Cai Changxiu is from the CEO Hu Qing, and he is not the same as the new ATV host Wang Zheng. When Cai Changxiu left for business, Zhou Ziyu glanced at Li Jia and said thoughtfully, "Husband, you are not planning to acquire ATV, are you?" Li Jia was stunned for a moment and said with some surprise, "How did you figure it out?" Zhou Ziyu chuckled, "You never do anything without a purpose. Besides, if you want to visit a TV station, wouldn't TVB be more suitable?" Li Jia also smiled, "You guessed it, half of it right." "Why half?" "I have plans to acquire ATV, but you will be the one to take over ATV." Li Jia has actually been thinking about ATV for a long time. It is impossible for the mainland to allow private capital to invest in TV stations. If you want to occupy the Southeast Asian market, you must control a TV station that can radiate to Southeast Asia. ATV, which is on the verge of bankruptcy, is the best choice. But now is not the right time. First, his qualifications and prestige are not enough. In the next 2 years, no one will be willing to take over the mess of ATV. He has also become one of the richest men in the country. Only by bringing billions of funds to ATV can the whole ATV and the people of Hong Kong believe that he can save ATV. Second, he is not a Hong Kong citizen and does not meet the requirement that ATV must be run by Hong Kong people. In other words, no matter how much money Li Jia has, he is not qualified to take over ATV. "Let me join ATV," Zhou Ziyu was stunned, her heart beating uncontrollably. Taking control of a regional TV station will immediately change your identity and status. The temptation is too great. Yufa Xiao became Sir Xiao just because he controlled TVB. After Zhou Ziyu came to his senses, he quickly shook his head, "No, I don't have enough status. How can I be qualified to control the TV station?" "Husband, you'd better come in person." Li Jia said nonchalantly, "If your status is not enough, just let it be enough. When the child is born next year, you will become a Hong Kong citizen, and then I will give you a director's quota. When the time comes, you will join ATV as a director of Kudong Group." After a pause, he added, "I am not a Hong Kong citizen, so I am not qualified to join ATV." Zhou Ziyu's eyes flashed, she bit her lip, and said somewhat unconfidently, "But can I?" Li Jia looked at her and smiled. This little fish is obviously tempted. "You represent me, and the entire Kudong Group is behind you." He then lamented, Wang Zheng, said that he wants to use 20 years to build ATV into the CNN of Asia. I don't have as big an ambition as him. It will take more than 10 years for ATV to radiate to Southeast Asia. It's enough to have a certain influence in this area. Even though ATV still has a market value of several billion, it is a complete mess. There is a loss of talent, the production team is leaving en masse, and internal strife among the top management continues. Even if capital continues to come in for blood transfusions, it cannot withstand the continuous blood loss. Wang Zheng also wanted to make a difference when he took over ATV, but the top management of ATV did not cooperate at all. Later, when ATV was on the verge of bankruptcy, a reporter asked Li Ka-shing if he was willing to buy ATV shares and be the White Warrior to save ATV. Li Ka-shing's answer was, "Do you think I have enough time?" A White Warrior is a company, private company, or individual that provides assistance to another company. But ATV is not irredeemable. Li Jie is not an outsider like Wang Zheng, and Cuckoo Entertainment is one of the largest private entertainment companies in the mainland. Cuckoo Entertainment has its own talent team and team. As long as it obtains absolute controlling rights, it can completely rectify ATV and fire everyone who does not cooperate. As long as the newsstand of the TV station is ensured to be fair, impartial, and open. If we produce more hit variety shows and TV series, ATV can come back to life. At that time, it will turn from a junk stock to a high-performance stock. When Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu left, Cai Changxiu sent them outside the gate. "It would be great if someone like Li Sheng could take over ATV," he said with some sigh. Cai Changxiu never thought that Li Jie would join ATV. After all, he is not a Hong Kong citizen. He just admired the other party's ability. In just a few years, he developed a small company into the largest private entertainment group in the mainland. Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu looked at each other covertly, with the same look in their eyes, and then he smiled and said, "It has been more than 50 years since ATV was launched, and many ups and downs have gone through over the years. I believe there will be the White Warrior appeared to help it achieve greater glory." "I hope so, I hope so," Cai Changxiu sighed. After getting in the car, Zhou Ziyu glanced at the time and found that it was already 5 p.m. "Honey, where should we go next?" "Today is Li Jie's last night on Hong Kong Island, and he will go back tomorrow. Take you to meet someone." After Li Jie finished speaking, he turned to the bodyguard who was driving and said, "Go to Saigon." "Who are we going to meet?" "You'll know when the time comes." Half an hour later, the car arrived at a high-end community near the seaside in Saigon. This neighborhood is composed of two-story semi-detached houses. A semi-detached house is a duplex, where there are two houses on the left and right, sharing a load-bearing wall and roof. Although this type of house is not as big as a single-family house, it is larger than a traditional townhouse in terms of space. In a place like Hong Kong Island where land is at a premium, it can be considered a luxury home. After getting off the car, Li Jie took Zhou Ziyu to the door of a house and rang the doorbell. "Coming." Soon, the door opened. The person who opened the door was a tall middle-aged woman, about 40 years old, with short hair and an elegant and gentle temperament. After seeing Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu, she was stunned for a moment, then reacted and said enthusiastically and politely, "Mr. Li, right? This is your girlfriend? You are welcome, please come in." "Excuse me, Sisters Hixie." Li Jie and Zhou Ziyu walked into the house and saw a tall, thin, middle-aged man wearing a pair of black-rimmed glasses sitting on the sofa in the living room. Seeing Li Jie and the others walking in, he immediately stood up. Sister Kioxi smiled and introduced, "This is Mr. Li from Kudong Group, and this beautiful woman is his girlfriend." "Hello, Mr. Li, you are welcome to come, sit down quickly," the man greeted politely. "Hello, Brother 13, Li Jie took the initiative to reach out and shook hands with the other party. "This is my girlfriend Zhou Ziyu." "Mr. Li, Miss Zhou, please sit down quickly," Sister Kiao I also greeted. Li Jie took Zhou Ziyu and sat down on the sofa. Brother 13 sat beside him, and Sister Kiaoan was busy going to the kitchen to cut fruit. Li Jie glanced at Sister Kiao's leaving figure, turned around and said, "Brother 13, I really envy you." "What do I have to envy, Brother 13 said a little puzzled. I envy you for marrying Sister Kioxi, Li Jie said with a smile. Brother 13 was stunned for a moment and then smiled, I am lucky to be able to marry her. Josio sat aside and watched the two people talking, a little confused. What are the identities of Sister Kioxi and Brother 13? Why did Li Jie come to visit them? At this time, Sister Kiaoi came out of the kitchen carrying a tray with tea, dried fruits, and cut fruit plates. She smiled and said, Mr. Li, you praise me too much. I'm old. Even when I was young, I couldn't compare to Miss Jo. It's really enviable for you to have a girlfriend like Miss Jo. Li Jie smiled and said, it's different. Sister Chiao Chiao, you are my idol. In the hearts of fans, idols will never grow old. Sister Kiaoi was obviously a little surprised when she heard this. Mr. Li, have you seen my play? After receiving Li Jie's invitation to visit, she had guessed his purpose. She thought the other party was here to invite her to join Cuckoo Entertainment. Now ATV is in deep trouble, and she, the first sister, has no role to play. She has been somewhat interested in TVB's repeated invitations. If you can join Cuckoo Entertainment to develop in the mainland, it would be a good choice. But she didn't expect that Li Jie only came to visit her as a fan. I've watched all the movies like The Driver, Cello, and .38, Dion G Sir is a Ghost, and 97 Chameleon. Li Jie paused for a moment and then continued, however, my favorite is Ma Xiaoling, played by you. Sister Chiao Chiao nodded and said happily, I also like the character Ma Xiaoling very much. She never expected that there would be a billionaire fan. Josio glanced at her and then at Li Jie, showing a look of surprise. It turns out that Sister Kiaoi is a female star from Hong Kong Island. Li Jie didn't stay too long. He sat for a while, took a photo with Sister Kioxi, and left with Josio to say goodbye. The car started slowly. Josio looked back and saw Sister Kiaoi and Brother 13 standing at the gate of the community to see off her. Then she turned around, smiled and said, she was your idol when you were a teenager. Li Jie nodded, that's right, she is my favorite Hong Kong female star. I thought you would like Li Jiaxin, Huan Jiawai, Chiu Shahen, Wang Zuxian, Li Ji, Zhang Min, and others. Why? Aren't they representatives of Hong Kong-style beauties? So many men like them. Li Jie shook his head, everyone's aesthetics is different. Some people think Lu Yufei is ugly. This aesthetic standard is not generally high. Suddenly, he seemed to react and said, you don't know her, do you? Josio hesitated for a moment and then hummed, is she very famous here in Hong Kong Island? Li Jie glanced at her and said, although she is not as famous as Li Jiaxin and Wang Zuxian, she still has many masterpieces. She was once the #1 sister of ATV, and she is considered a first-line actress. I don't watch many Hong Kong dramas. I only watched a few when I was a kid. As Josio said this, he took out his mobile phone and searched for Ma Xiaoling. Looking at the pictures on her phone, she suddenly pursed her lips and chuckled, husband, I know why you like her. This female star was completely obsessed with his aesthetics when she was young. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 598. After Li Jie returned to the Shanghai Stock Exchange, more than 2 months passed in a flash. The time came in late December. On Friday, Xiao Qiao only had one big class in the afternoon. After class, she did not go back directly to Sandalwood Villa, but went to the dormitory for a walk. Xiao Qiao, are you back? Jinyu Ma said a little surprised when she saw Xiao Qiao coming. She couldn't go back to the dormitory more than once a month. I'll come back and take a look, Xiao Qiao said with a smile, pulling out the chair in front of the desk and sitting down. Not only Jinyu Ma was in the dormitory, but Yao Ling was also there. She took a big, round apple wrapped in beautiful colored paper and handed it to Xiao Qiao. Xiao Qiao, This is for you. I wish you a happy Christmas Eve in advance.
Thank you. Xiao Jiao took the apple.
Sorry, I didn't prepare any apples. When she first entered college, Xiao Jiao was also very keen on spending Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve, buying a bunch of apples wrapped in beautiful colored paper and giving them away everywhere, but now she has lost interest and feels quite boring. It's okay, Yao Ling smiled nonchalantly. By the way, how are you planning to spend Christmas Eve tomorrow? How else can I live? Just stay in the dormitory, Jin Yuma said casually. Her life is relatively monotonous, either going to class, going to the library, or staying in the dormitory. Where are you, Xiao Jiao? Yao Ling turned to look at Xiao Jiao. How are you and your family planning to celebrate the holidays? We're doing business as usual. Xiao Jiao paused and said, he is not a foreigner. Li Jie stopped letting them celebrate foreign festivals, saying that this was a sign of admiration for foreigners. We can only celebrate traditional festivals, such as Spring Festival, Lantern Festival, Qingming, Dragon Boat Festival, Mid-Autumn Festival, Double Ninth Festival, etc. However, Xiao Jiao very much suspected that this guy had too many lovers and was afraid that he would be too busy due to too many holidays. Not a foreign festival, Yao Ling said in surprise. Then you too can't celebrate Valentine's Day. Yao Ling shook her head, then the one in your family is too unromantic. Forget about other holidays, Valentine's Day cannot be missed. Xiao Jiao said nonchalantly, we have been together for 4 or 5 years, so we don't have to pay much attention to it anymore. Although Li Jie won't let them celebrate Valentine's Day, they still have to celebrate Chinese Valentine's Day. Yao Ling did not agree with her statement. Xiao Jiao, you can't think so. If a man really cares about you, he won't ignore you. She talked a lot about it. Xiao Jiao smiled and changed the subject, how Yao Ling and her boyfriend plan to spend Christmas Eve. That's just having a meal together and watching a movie, Yao Ling said. No, there should be another important link. What part? Eat an apple, Xiao Jiao said with a playful smile on his face. How can you not eat apples on Christmas Eve? Eat an apple? Yao Ling reacted after thinking for a moment and said funnily, Xiao Jiao, I didn't expect you to be such a person. What's wrong with me? Xiao Jiao pretended not to understand. What's wrong? The thoughts are so complicated. Why are my thoughts complicated? I just said eat an apple. You think too much. Jin Yuma smiled and said, Yao Ling, don't forget, Xiao Jiao is a married woman. She has rich experience. She is probably tired of eating apples. Xiao Jiao, let me ask you a question, how is your physical fitness? Yao Ling said with a smile. Girls are much more aggressive when driving than men, especially experienced drivers. The three of them joked and joked for a while, and Xiao Jiao said as if remembering something, by the way, Yao Ling, have you booked tickets for the movie? Yao Ling shook her head, no, I want to watch Angry Birds, but I don't have any tickets. I can watch whatever I catch up with then. The Angry Birds movie has been in production for a year and a half and will finally be released on Christmas Eve. Angry Birds is also very popular in China. As long as young people with smartphones have basically played this little game, women are the main players. If not others, Lu Yufia likes to play this game. A few days ago, when the movie source code was released, she imitated the Angry Birds expression at the press conference. In addition, it was released on Christmas Eve, so there were many couples watching the movie, so the movie became popular before it was released, and most movie theaters in Shanghai were sold out. Yao Ling, do you want to watch Angry Birds? Xiao Jiao picked up her handbag, took out 2 movie tickets and handed them to Yao Ling. Here you go. Yao Ling took the movie ticket, took a look at it, and said with some surprise, a movie ticket for Angry Birds. Xiao Jiao, where did you get this movie ticket? This is a welfare ticket from his company, Xiao Jiao said with a smile. Xiao Jiao, your wife is so generous. She even gave out movie tickets to employees on Christmas Eve, Jinyu Ma said. Yao Ling handed the movie ticket back again. Xiao Jiao, why don't you go watch it with your family member? It's okay, I still have some. As Xiao Jiao spoke, he took out another movie ticket from his wallet and handed it to Jinyu Ma. Uma, you should go see a movie too. She asked Zhang Wenjun to help Xiaojin and Miao Wenqian get 2 movie tickets for Angry Birds, but the other party sent 7 or 8 tickets at once. Xiao Jiao, thank you. Yao Ling and Jinyu Ma were both very happy. Everyone is here. At this moment, Tong Yuxuan walked in carrying a paper bag. Xiao Jiao, it would be great if you are here, so I don't have to look for you again. One for everyone. As she spoke, she took out the packaged apples from the paper bag and distributed them to Xiao Jiao and the others one by one. Although Tong Yuxuan is a bit arrogant, on the surface she is still a good person. Are you planning to go see a movie together? She suddenly noticed the movie tickets in Yao Ling's and Jinyu Ma's hands. These are the Christmas Eve movie tickets that Xiao Jiao gave us, Angry Birds, Yao Ling said with a smile. Angry Birds? It's hard to buy tickets for this movie. Tong Yuxuan said, turning to look at Xiao Jiao. Xiao Jiao, where did you get so many votes? Before Xiao Jiao could speak, Jinyu Ma said first, this is the welfare ticket that Xiao Jiao's family gave to their employees. After hearing this, Tong Yuxuan's eyes flashed thoughtfully. Xiao Jiao took out 2 more movie tickets and said, Yuxuan, these 2 tickets are for you. Xiao Jiao, then I won't be polite to you, thank you. Tong Yuxuan smiled and took the movie ticket. In this way, I will treat everyone to dinner tonight, and we will celebrate Christmas Eve in advance. The next day, Christmas Eve night. Jiading, Tian's College. A blue Maserati Quattroporte parked in front of the girls' dormitory building. The cool and luxurious appearance of the car attracted the attention of many passing girls. A very innocent-looking little girl wearing a long white down jacket with a little light powder walked out of the dormitory building. She glanced at the Maserati first, and then began to look around. Beep, Maserati made a sound. The driver's window was halfway down, revealing Xiao Jin's face. Xiao Yan, get in the car. Senior. Chai Xiao Yan looked surprised, walked quickly to the car, opened the passenger door and got in. Senior, have you changed your car? She said, looking at the interior of the car. Xiaojin hummed slightly and quickly lowered the window again. If people see him picking up other girls, there might be a scandal. If the news reaches Miao Wenqian's ears, it will be very troublesome. Chai Xiaoyan is a freshman who just entered school this year, and Xiaojin met her when she was an orientation volunteer. When she joined the club, she happened to join the new media club he founded. After going back and forth, the two became familiar with each other. Fasten your seatbelt. Xiaojin glanced at Chai Xiaoyan and started the car. Chai Xiaoyan reached out and tugged on the seatbelt, but found that she couldn't pull it out. Senior, how do you do this? Let me help you. Xiaojin saw her and leaned over to help her fasten her seatbelt. For a moment, the two of them were very close, and he could smell the faint fragrance of Chai Xiaoyan, and he couldn't help but feel a little moved. Xiaojin calmed down, sat up straight, stepped on the accelerator, and the car started to move immediately. Xiaojin regretted it a little. Originally, he had made an appointment with Miao Wenqian to spend Christmas Eve together, and he even asked his sister for 2 front-row couples tickets. But something suddenly happened at Miao Wenqian's workplace and she was asked to work overtime. Since she was transferred to the artist management department, she has missed their dates more than once because of work. As an intern, she is busier than a regular employee. Xiaojin became single on Christmas Eve, so she was inevitably depressed, so she sent a message to talk to Chai Xiaoyan. Chai Xiaoyan is not as beautiful as Miao Wenqian, but she is simple, ignorant, and even a little stupid, which makes Xiaojin feel protective in front of her. But while chatting, he somehow agreed to Chai Xiaoyan to spend Christmas Eve with her, and the two hugged each other to keep warm. Hey, I really shouldn't have agreed. If the senior sister, Miao Wenqian, knew about it, she would definitely misunderstand it. The blue Maserati president flew all the way from Jiading to the Bund and stopped in front of a newly opened cinema. This cinema is not small in scale, and the decoration is quite luxurious. It looks quite high-end. Future International Cinema, Chai Xiaoyan read the name of the theater softly. Come on, let's go in. Xiaojin walked into the cinema with Chai Xiaoyan and looked around. She found that there were lively activities going on in the cinema and there were many couples watching the movie. The movie won't start for a while. I'm going to buy some drinks and popcorn. You wait for me here, he said to Chai Xiaoyan. Yeah, okay, Chai Xiaoyan nodded obediently. Xiaojin queued up to buy 2 cups of freshly squeezed juice and a large bucket of popcorn, but when he came back with the things, he found that Chai Xiaoyan was missing. He looked around and saw her figure where the lottery was being held. Why did she get there? Xiaojin walked over there. However, he stopped again after taking a few steps, and his eyes fell on a man and a woman walking not far away. Men are tall and tall with good temperament, girls are tall and slender with attractive posture. Although both of them wore caps, glasses, and masks and covered themselves up tightly, it could be seen that both of them looked good. Especially girls, who are tall, fair, and thin, are obviously beautiful women. The two were talking and laughing as they walked, and they seemed to have a very close relationship. The girl was holding an angry bird that she had won in a lottery. Why does this man look so familiar? It seems like he is his brother-in-law. But that girl is definitely not his sister, Xiaoqiao. Noticing the man's eyes looking over here, Xiaojin quickly turned his back. He waited until the two of them walked past, then turned around. Staring at the two people's retreating figures, Xiaojin felt more and more that the man was his brother-in-law. Senior, what are you looking at? A soft female voice came from behind. Xiaojin was startled, turned around and found that Chai Xiaoyan was back. You're back. Chai Xiaoyan said excitedly, look, I got this. As she spoke, she took out an angry bird from her back and shook it at Xiaojin. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 599. Xiaojin smiled at Chai Xiaoyan, then subconsciously glanced in the direction of the man and woman, and found that they had entered the screening room. Come on, let's enter too. Xiaojin walked into the screening room with Chai Xiaoyan, looked around, and quickly found the man and woman. This is a small and medium-sized screening hall with 150 seats. The two people sit in the middle of the 7th row, which is also the best viewing position. Although they had already entered the screening room, the two of them were still wearing caps, glasses, and masks. Seeing that Xiaojin stopped and looked around, as if looking for something, Chai Xiaoyan couldn't help but ask, Senior, are you looking for someone? Xiaojin withdrew her gaze and said, no. Then let's go over. Xiaoyan, please go over first. I have something else to do and I have to go out. How about I accompany you? No, you take your seat first, I'll be back soon. After Xiaojin finished speaking, she left in a hurry. Their seats were diagonally behind the man and the woman. The movie hadn't started yet and the lights hadn't been turned off. If the man was really his brother-in-law, he would have been exposed if he didn't stand up. When he asked Li Zhe to borrow a car yesterday, he was talking about spending Christmas Eve with Miao Wenqian. Senior, Chai Xiaoyan froze on the spot, watching Xiaojin walk away. Soon, the movie officially started. All the lights in the screening room were turned off, and the big screen slowly lit up. Seeing that Xiaojin hadn't come back yet, Chai Xiaoyan frequently looked back at the entrance of the screening room, no longer in the mood to watch a movie. Just when she couldn't help but want to go out to find Xiaojin, he finally came back. Xiaojin turned sideways, squeezed through the narrow aisle between the seats, and sat down next to her. Chai Xiaoyan looked at the peaked cap on his head and the mask on his face, and couldn't help but ask, "Senior, why are you?" Xiaojin winked at Chai Xiaoyan and stopped her from speaking. Then he looked at the man and woman in the front row and found that they were still wearing caps, but they had taken off their glasses and masks. Yes, it was indeed his brother-in-law, and that girl. Isn't she that big internet celebrity, Xiaoning? Xiaojin also likes to watch short videos and appreciate beauties. Of course, he kept this hobby secret from Miao Wenqian. Xiaoning is considered the most beautiful anchor on Kudong Video. Pure yet sexy, cool yet sweet, she is known as the most interesting beauty. Although she has a cold live broadcast style and often criticizes others, even her eldest brother won't give her face, but she is still sought after by countless men. Many elder brothers have spent hundreds of thousands or hundreds of thousands without even meeting her. It is said that Xiaoning never meets fans alone in private and has only held a few fan meetings. She is an alternative among female anchors. Xiaojin's eyes fell on Li Zhe's hand around Xiaoning's waist, and she couldn't help but feel envious. His brother-in-law is really blessed. Xiaoning, a beautiful woman who is sought after by countless men and regarded as a goddess, is also in his pocket. It's just pity that his sister has another love rival. Just when Xiaojin was thinking wildly, Li Zhe, who was sitting in the front row, took out his cell phone and looked at it, and then he suddenly looked back. Xiaojin's heart tightened, and she quickly turned her head and looked back, avoiding Li Zhe's gaze. Chai Xiaoyan, who was sitting aside, glanced at Xiaojin strangely, feeling that his behavior tonight was a bit abnormal. Li Zhe glanced at Xiaojin and Chai Xiaoyan, then withdrew his gaze and turned away. Seeing that Li Zhe didn't seem to notice him, Xiaojin was relieved. Chai Xiaoyan glanced at Li Zhe, then she took out her mobile phone, typed a few words, and put it in front of Xiaojin's eyes. "Senior, do you know them?" Xiaojin hesitated for a moment, and just when she was about to say something, she saw Li Zhe in the front row stood up and walked out after whispering something to Xiaoning. Beep, immediately afterwards, his phone vibrated. Xiaojin took out her phone and looked at it, and was shocked. The message was sent by Li Zhe, with only 2 words, "Come out." "It's over, we were still discovered," he lamented in his heart. How could Li Zhe not be protected by bodyguards? There were several audience members in the screening room disguised as bodyguards. When Xiaojin peered at Li Zhe, 2 or 3 bodyguards stared at him at the same time. As soon as Xiaojin walked out of the screening room, she saw Li Zhe standing not far away. He walked over quickly, smiled guiltily, and said, "Brother-in-law, are you coming to watch a movie too?" Li Zhe glanced at him and said, "Okay, take off your mask." When Xiaojin heard this, he realized that he was still wearing a cap and a mask. He quickly took off the cap and mask. Li Zhe continued, "Didn't you tell me when you borrowed the car that you wanted to spend Christmas Eve with Wen Qian? Who is that girl?" Xiaojin smiled coquettishly and said, "Xiao Qian and her department are temporarily busy, so she has to work overtime." "Brother-in-law, why do Xiao Qian and her department always work overtime?" "She, an intern, is busier than a regular employee." "So, you went out on a date with another girl," Li Zhe said with a half smile. "No, brother-in-law, don't get me wrong. She is one of my schoolmates. We just watched a movie, nothing else." Xiaojin paused and then said, "She is a little girl, and she is quite lonely spending the holidays alone." Li Zhe smiled and nodded, "As a senior, you do care about my juniors." Then, he suppressed his smile and said, "Wen Qian is quite good. Don't act recklessly and do anything wrong to her." Although Miao Wenqian is a bit scheming, she must be good-looking and capable. Xiaojin is considered a winner in life if she can have such a girlfriend. Besides, as long as he was around, Miao Wenqian would not dare to use Xiaojin as a stepping stone and throw her away after using her. Brother-in-law, don't worry, I am wholeheartedly devoted to Xiaoqian, Xiaojin quickly assured her. After saying that, he asked tentatively, brother-in-law, you and sister Xiaoning. Like you, we are just watching a movie, nothing else, Li Jie said calmly. Xiaojin couldn't help but curl her lips inwardly after hearing this. If he hadn't seen with his own eyes that his brother-in-law put his hand on Xiaoning's waist, he might have actually believed it. Okay, go watch a movie with your elementary school girl, and then send her home early. Seeing his cheap brother-in-law leaving, Li Jie couldn't help but shake his head. It is important for people to know themselves. His cheap brother-in-law couldn't even handle Miao Wenqian, and he dared to provoke other girls. Even though Xiaojin said it was nothing, how could Li Jie, who is also a man, not see his little thoughts? Both restrained and tumultuous. He is someone who has been here before, and he had this mentality back then. Ahem, I said too much. This guy will get into trouble sooner or later if he keeps going like this. Hello, a slightly hesitant female voice came from behind. Li Jie turned around and found that the person speaking was a tall and sexy young girl. Are you all right? This girl was considered a beauty in the eyes of ordinary people, but in his eyes she was just that. The makeup was too rich, and from the perspective of later generations, it was a bit unconventional. But that's the current aesthetic. The girl looked Li Jie up and down and said tentatively, are you Xiao Qiao's husband? Who are you? I am Xiao Qiao's roommate, my name is Tong Yuxuan, Tong Yuxuan said excitedly. When she was watching from a distance just now, she felt that the man looked a bit like the man who came to pick up Xiao Qiao that day, but she didn't expect it to be true. Li Jie smiled and nodded at Tong Yuxuan. Hello, I am Li Jie. Are you coming here to watch a movie with Xiao Qiao? Tong Yuxuan asked with a smile. Li Jie smiled and asked, are you coming over to watch a movie with your boyfriend? Tong Yuxuan smiled and said, yes, Xiao Qiao gave us the movie tickets, saying they were welfare tickets for your company. By the way, big boss, what business are you doing? I do the internet. After Li Jie finished speaking, he glanced not far away and said, is that your boyfriend? Okay, I won't interrupt your date anymore. I'm leaving first. I can't watch this movie, so I'd better leave. The same goes for Zhang Wenjun. Xiao Qiao wanted to take away so many internal tickets without even telling him. Yuxuan, who were you talking to just now? Qi Jianbin came over with 2 cups of Coke and a large bucket of popcorn. Do you know who I met? Xiao Qiao's mysterious husband, Tong Yuxuan said excitedly. But why does the name Li Jie sound familiar? Li Jie. Qi Jianbin smiled and said, your roommate's husband has the same name as the youngest billionaire Li Jie. After saying that, he found that his girlfriend was stunned. What's wrong? It's not really that Li Jie, is it? Tong Yuxuan paused and swallowed. I remember Xiao Qiao seems to have graduated from Hongchen Normal University. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 600. Yuan Kun squeezed out of the bus, dragged his tired body for another 10 minutes, and then returned to his rental house. After closing the door, he threw the bowl of noodles he bought along the way on the table, then pulled out a chair and sat down. This is not a company that can be beaten by others. Even during the holidays, you have to work overtime. Yuan Kun felt very depressed when he thought that he had his girlfriend with him on Christmas Eve and could rent a room to eat apples, but he had to work overtime and was as tired as a dog. After get off work, he could only stay in a small rental house alone. He graduated from a vocational college and currently works in a small foreign trade company in Shanghai. The salary is only 2 to 3,000 yuan, and the rent, water, and electricity costs more than 800 yuan a month. Plus food, transportation, and other expenses, it is basically impossible to save much money a month. I've been working for a year or two, but I don't see any future. You can't make money, you can't afford a house, you can't find a girlfriend, and even if you find one, you won't have the money to support her. Yuan Kun sighed softly and put his worries behind for the time being. Forget it, let's live one day at a time. He took the warm noodles on the table and opened another can of beer. Then he took out his newly bought Xiaomi mobile phone, connected it to Wi-Fi, clicked on the Kudong video, and ate noodles, drank beer, and browsed short video. Drinking a can of beer and watching short videos after get off work is a rare and pleasant time for Yuan Kun. He rented this small, overpriced rental house because the landlord provided free Wi-Fi. You can let him lie comfortably on the bed and watch short videos on his mobile phone. Yuan Kun often spends several hours at a time. In this era, the internet control is not so strict, and it is very happy to make short videos. In order to attract traffic, many female anchors will deliberately edit the edges when shooting videos, not just faintly, but even fleetingly. It made many old critics feel passionate about it. Yuan Kun consumed a lot of extra toilet paper, which made his already poor economy even worse. Damn, this benefit is great. After seeing a high-quality video, he quickly downloaded and saved the video. This kind of marginal video will usually be removed from the platform soon. Xiaoning didn't update the video today. Among the many beautiful female anchors, Yuan Kun's favorite is Xiaoning. So beautiful and so personal. Although he doesn't have much money, whenever Xiaoning starts broadcasting, he still gives fans a light sign and some small gifts. After more than a year, his fan level has reached level 10. After eating the noodles and drinking all the beer, Yuan Kun took his mobile phone and threw it on the bed, feeling comfortable in his heart. However, a prompt popped up at this time: the anchor you are following, Xiaoning, has started broadcasting. He stood up from the bed and sat up again. Xiaoning is on the air? Yuan Kun put down his mobile phone and took the old notebook on the table. You can only watch short videos on your mobile phone, and you have to use a computer to watch the live broadcast. He sometimes thinks that it would be nice if his mobile phone could be more advanced so that he could watch the live broadcast while lying in bed. This Asus laptop was a second-hand product that Yuan Kun bought from a senior when he was a sophomore. It has been used for almost 3 or 4 years. It starts slowly, often freezes, and has a lot of problems. After waiting for 2 or 3 minutes, the computer finally turned on. When you get rich, you must replace this broken computer first to prevent him from seeing Xiaoning. Yuan Kun thought this while clicking on the Kudong video. Xiaoning seemed to have just taken a shower, and she was dressed casually. She was wearing beige pajamas with bare shoulders and a white sweater. Her semi-wet hair was spread over her shoulders, which was a little tempting. There are many people in the live broadcast room, tens of thousands of people. The comments in the comment area are constantly scrolling, the gift effects flash from time to time, and the popularity is still rising rapidly. Wife, wife, wife lecherous. Xiaoning, I'm here. Xiaoning is so pretty and has a nice voice. XXX sends a little heart X99. XX will send you to marry you home X1. Xiaoning is so beautiful, Yuan Kun couldn't help but said softly as he looked at the elegant and refined Xiaoning on the screen. After a pause, he said again, these idiots. Can you call me wife? If you want to call, I have to do it. Yuan Kun also imagined that if he could have a girlfriend like Xiaoning, he would be willing to die for her. Unfortunately, he could only think about it. I heard that top internet celebrities like Xiaoning can earn hundreds or tens of millions a year, which is beyond the reach of ordinary people like him. Yuan Kun felt very uncomfortable when he thought that Xiao Ning would find a boyfriend in the future and be suppressed by other men. Many men have a strange feeling. Even if they can't get the beautiful woman they like, they don't want other men to get her. Xiaokan gave away one fan light sign. Thank you, Xiaokan, for the light sign. Xiao Ning whispered her thanks. Xiaokan is Yuan Kun's online name. Hearing Xiao Ning read his name, Yuan Kun felt happy. With a click of the mouse, he drew another hot air balloon. Yuan Kun couldn't help but feel a little hurt when the 52 yuan was gone. This was half of his day's salary. Thank you Xiaokan for the hot air balloon, thank you Xiaokan. Hearing Xiao Ning thank him once again, Yuan Kun suddenly felt less distressed. In order to buy gifts for Xiao Ning, he was willing to save time and money. What Yuan Kun likes most about Xiao Ning is that she is not a powerful person. Big anchors are too high-minded and don't pay attention to ordinary fans at all. You save food and use it to give people small gifts worth 100 yuan, but you don't even get a thank you. But Xiao Ning is different. As long as she is a senior fan, even if she only rewards a light sign, she will respond as soon as she sees it. When I was a child, I loved eating bubblegum, watermelon-flavored bubblegum, and wine-filled chocolate. Xiao Ning was talking about the snacks she liked to eat when she was a child. Fans left comments in the comment area. That bubblegum is called watermelon taro. I also liked eating it when I was a kid. Wine-filled chocolate is delicious, and there's real wine in it. At that time, I liked to eat big bubblegum, tang hao pork, popsicles, and fruit peel. Malted milk powder, white rabbit toffee. Yuan Kun felt a warm feeling in his heart as he listened to Xiao Ning talking about her childhood, her favorite snacks, and her small pocket money. A person's Christmas Eve is no longer depressing. He has Xiao Ning with him. At this time, a level 1 trumpet named the man behind Xiao Ning suddenly jumped out. One day I fell asleep and talked in my sleep. I want to marry Xiao Xian. At this time, a hand stretched out from the bedside and grabbed my ear and said to me, "Have you been wronged by marrying me, Xiao Ning?" The comment section exploded after reading this paragraph. Brother, wake up quickly, you are in a dream within a dream. You can have dreams, but you can't always dream. Is this a psychiatric hospital? Send a car over quickly. There is a seriously ill patient here. It made me laugh so hard laughs. This is a good episode. Yuan Kun couldn't help but also typed, "Stop dreaming, Xiao Ning is not someone you can miss." Xiao Ning chuckled and said, "It's good to dream, there is everything in the dream." The man behind Xiao Ning, "Honey, stop broadcasting, go off the broadcast, I'm waiting for you." Sun Wanning said a little unhappy, "I don't like others calling me wife." The man behind Xiao Ning, "You don't like it when I call you." Xiao Ning said a little speechlessly, "You think this is humorous? Why should I like it? Who do you think you are?" The man behind Xiao Ning, "Are you sure? You don't regret it?" Xiao Ning chuckled and said, "I'm sure, 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 you are not welcome in my live broadcast room." Fans in the comment section also followed suit. Xiao Ning fought well. "I just like watching Xiao Ning quarrel with others." Who are you? You feel too good about yourself. Don't blame him, he's still dreaming. Yuan Kun couldn't help but smile, smirk, on his face. He also liked watching Xiao Ning quarrel with others. Next, the man behind Xiao Ning stopped leaving any messages. Just when Yuan Kun and the others thought that the other party had left in despair, he suddenly sent another message. "Look behind you." "Stop being so mysterious," Xiao Ning said disdainfully. Although she said this, she still glanced back subconsciously. This look lasts for tens of seconds. When she turned around again, her eyes were full of emotion, and she couldn't hide the smile on her face. "Okay, I'll stop broadcasting here today, I'll leave first." Merry Christmas Eve. After hearing what she said, the live broadcast room suddenly exploded again. What's going on? What did Xiaoning see? Isn't there someone hiding in the house? Xiaoning, don't do it. The next second, the live broadcast ended abruptly. Yuan Kun looked at the closed live broadcast room, a little stunned. There was something obviously wrong with Xiaoning's expression. There must be someone else in her family. Thinking about what the man behind Xiaoning said, he had a bad feeling. Xiaoning doesn't have a boyfriend, right? But soon, Yuan Kun threw this idea out of his mind. It must be a friend, girl, she knows who is joking with her, well, that must be the case. Xiaoning couldn't possibly have a boyfriend so soon. Sun Wanning closed the live broadcast room, stood up, and looked at Li Jie standing at the door of the bedroom with some humor. I didn't expect you would do such a thing. Li Jie smiled and said, don't you think it's a bit naive? Yes, Sun Wanning smiled and nodded. It was a bit childish, but she liked it very much. Li Jie walked up to Sun Wanning with a smile, reached out and took off her sweater jacket, leaving it on the side, and then gently touched her soft and white shoulders with his hands. Actually, I wanted to suddenly appear behind you just now. Sun Wanning was stunned for a moment and said, are you telling the truth? Li Jie didn't speak, lowered his head and kissed her. He works so hard to make money, not just to live by the rules, but to get rid of the rules and enjoy life as much as you want. Taking possession of a top beauty internet celebrity who is sought after by countless men and regarded as a goddess is a real sense of accomplishment for men. If you don't show off, wouldn't it be like walking at night in brocade clothes? There is no way, he is such a person who can't escape from vulgar taste. Li Jie and Sun Wanning were intimate for a while, and then suddenly let her go. What's wrong? Sun Wanning breathed slightly. Li Jie looked at her and smiled playfully, I still prefer your unruly look. After hearing this, Sun Wanning rolled her eyes angrily, and then her face turned cold. Do you think that girls who are with you only want your money? You're wrong, I don't care about your dirty money. She felt extremely comfortable in her heart, and she became more and more enthusiastic as she spoke, you are still hugging me, you think you are the emperor, hey, what are you going to do, please let me go. It turned out that Li Jie forcibly picked her up and took her to the bedroom. He was going to take care of the Sun Tongtang tonight. Let her eat enough apples. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 601. Once Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are over, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day are next. On New Year's Day, a piece of news broke the internet. Kudong Group announced a New Year gathering of 5 blessings. Open Cookhat and click to scan. Point your phone at the word "fu" to get a chance to get a blessing card. The 5 blessing cards are Patriotic Blessing, Prosperity Blessing, Harmonious Blessing, Friendly Blessing, and Dedicated Blessing. Collecting the 5 blessings can combine to form the 5 blessings. At 2200 hours on New Year's Eve, you will be lucky to share 135 million cash red envelopes. The maximum surprise red envelope is 10 million yuan, and there are 3 million red envelopes. The lucky winners who win tens of millions or millions of red envelopes need to go to Kudong Group to receive the prize publicly and participate in promotional activities before February 6, 2012, Lantern Festival. It will be invalid after expiration. Everyone collects 5 blessings and divides up 135 million by luck, grabbing tens of millions of yuan in red envelopes. As soon as the news came out, it immediately became a hot search topic. The internet is abuzz, forums, group chats, everyone is discussing this matter. The 5 blessings activity to welcome the new year is the inheritance and development of traditional Chinese culture and customs. It contains blessings and is full of meaning. What's important is that this is the first time a private company is willing to share its dividends with the general public. This caused the biggest stir. Since ancient times, China has always been concerned not with scarcity but with inequality. No matter how much or how little money you have, this kind of approach that benefits the public can easily win people's favor. Less than a week after the WiFi collection event started, the number of Cookhat users has skyrocketed from more than 80 million to over 100 million. Discussing the 5 blessings and scanning the word "fu" everywhere with your mobile phone has become a social phenomenon, and even the shipments of smartphones have increased sharply. However, the number of WeChat users did not increase but decreased, from more than 40 million to less than 40 million, and millions of users were lost. Penguin was caught off guard, and after it reacted, it quickly asked the technology department to block the topic of the WiFi activity, but this caused even more users to be lost. Players who collected WiFi went to the Cookhat group to discuss and show off the collected few cards in their moments. User activity in the Cookhat moments increased rapidly, and Cookhat basically occupied the mobile instant messaging market. After all, there are now just over 100 million smartphone users in China. Although WeChat still has more than 30 million users, most people are already accustomed to using Cookao. Penguin has thought about learning from GWiFi, but the time is not available. Large-scale events like GWiFi must be prepared at least 1 or 2 months in advance, and now the Spring Festival is less than 20 days away. In the last few days of the countdown to the Spring Festival, Kudong Group announced that currently less than 10,000 people have collected WiFi cards. On average, each person can get 13,500 from 135 million. There is even a 1 in 10,000 chance of winning $1 million red envelope, and a 1 in -3,000 chance of winning $1 million red envelope. This has made the activity of collecting 5 blessings rise again, reaching the level of national discussion. In order to collect the most difficult blessing of professionalism, many people use their mobile phones to look for blessings everywhere. The probability of winning 10 million for the 2-color ball is 1/177211088. You also need to spend 2 yuan to buy a lottery ticket. As long as you collect the 5 blessings, you have a 1/10,000 chance of winning the 10 million grand prize. Besides, GWiFi accepts the award publicly under his real name. If you are lucky enough to win $1 million prize, it will really change your destiny. Later, ZFB also held a 100 million yuan lottery. But when the winner went to claim the prize, he discovered that the 100 million yuan was not cash, but various gift certificates, which needed to be redeemed and had an expiration date. When Li Jie saw this, he became a little bit petty. If he wanted to play, he would play it real. Only by allowing ordinary people to see opportunities that can truly change their destiny can they be fully motivated. Pudong New Area. In a small foreign trade company, Yuan Kun breathed a sigh of relief after checking the bill of lading. He had been busy all morning and could finally take a break. However, he will follow his boss to the warehouse to inspect the goods in the afternoon. It's really not easy to earn this salary. If he had money, he would throw his resignation letter on the boss's desk as soon as possible. At this time, a middle-aged female colleague in the office said, "Has any of you collected all the 5 blessings? I still lack the blessing of professionalism." A young girl answered and said, "I am just short of a professional blessing." "Sister Zhang, why do you think this professional blessing is so difficult to get? I also want to try to see if I can win the tens of millions of prizes." After saying that, she suddenly turned to Yuan Kun and said, "Yuan Kun, have you collected all the 5 blessings?" Yuan Kun looked at the girl's beautiful face and couldn't help but feel a little fluttering in his heart. I'm just like you, missing the blessing of professionalism." He has some fond feelings for this new girl. Although she is not very beautiful, she is pure, cute, lively, and generous, and is easy to get close to like the girl next door. But Yuan Kun didn't dare to express his thoughts because the other party accidentally said that he wanted to find a boyfriend who had a house in Shanghai. Nowadays, the housing prices in Shanghai remain high. Even an ordinary 1-bedroom apartment costs millions, which is beyond his reach. Since he didn't have that condition, he didn't want to humiliate himself. Just like Xiaoning. Although Yuan Kun really wanted to call Xiaoning wife in the live broadcast room like others, he had never done that. Because he knows that he doesn't deserve it. Going to the warehouse to inspect the goods in the afternoon went smoothly. The boss not only let Yuan Kun get off work early, but also reimbursed him for the fare. He had a rare luxury and took a taxi. The taxi stopped in the urban village where Yuan Kun rented. It was less than a week before the Spring Festival. The urban village was full of a strong flavor of the new year. People were coming and going on the street, including people buying New Year goods. Sporadic firecrackers sounded from time to time. Yuan Kun bought half a caddy of pig head meat at the delicatessen, asked the boss to mix it with cucumbers, and then carried the things to the rental house. On the way, he saw a small stall selling Spring Festival couplets, so he came to the stall, took out his mobile phone, opened Cookhat, and scanned it, habitually scanning the word fu. Congratulations on getting a universal blessing. I didn't get Jingyi again. Yuan Kun thought subconsciously. But the next moment he was stunned. All-powerful blessing. Universal blessing is a kind of blessing card, which can replace any one of the 5 blessing cards. But this thing is rarer than the Jingyi blessing, and he actually got it. In other words, he has gathered all the 5 blessings, and can use his luck to grab red envelopes worth millions or tens of millions on New Year's Eve. Thinking of this, Yuan Kun couldn't help but feel excited, and he also felt a sense of ambition. If he is lucky and draws tens of millions, no, just 1 million will be enough, then he can get rid of his current life. In a coffee shop on the Bund, Xiaoqiao, Jin Yume, Yao Ling, and others were also chatting about gathering the 5 blessings. The Spring Festival is approaching, and universities have long been on vacation, but Yao Ling and Tong Yuxuan are both locals in Shanghai, and Jin Yume has not gone home, so the 4 of them occasionally go out to get together. Usually the people who take the lead are Yao Ling and Tong Yuxuan. We went shopping, drank coffee, and went to the gym to play billiards and bowling. We had more contact, and our relationship with each other also improved a lot. Yao Ling picked up her phone and fiddled with it a few times. Which of you has collected all the 5 blessings? I still have the blessings of friendship and dedication. Jin Yume also picked up her mobile phone and said, I have an extra friendly blessing, and I'll send it to you. Tong Yuxuan said, other blessings are easy, but Jingyi blessing is the most difficult. After saying that, she looked at Xiaoqiao with a smile. Xiaoqiao, you must have gathered them all, right? Xiaoqiao nodded, I have gathered them all, but it's of no use. After she collected all the 5 blessings, she was looking forward to drawing the grand prize, but Li Jie told her that for the sake of fairness, she would not be allowed to draw the grand prize. Xiaoqiao, have you won the blessing of professionalism? Jin Yume said in surprise. Then you are so lucky. Hearing what she said, Yao Ling and Tong Yuxuan both had strange expressions. Lucky? I'm afraid not. There is someone behind this.